We made it through the technical difficulties, everybody. We
Yeah.
did it. It
High
happened.
fives.
We're back. I gotta figure out the name tags and shit like that. But for right now, welcome to the program. You just heard them dance with the dead. Below me on your left is Justin Pointer, and then Tony Kim to his right as well. Gentlemen, welcome to Pulse of the Maggots. How you doing today?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having
Good.
us.
Yeah.
Doing fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. Happy to have you on because as you could hear from the that song, the album's a bop. It's a whole hell of a lot of fun. So I'm going to start this thing off with a very softball question. Why do you two think that metal and synthwave, and by that logic, metal, synthwave, and horror just go so well together?
Well, we love metal, we love dance music, and we love horror, and we just kind of did all three. Never intended to. It was never a thing for it to be a thing. It was just kind of for fun, and it just kind of became what it is. So we just kept riding the ride.
High
Yeah,
energy.
Justin, anything to add to that?
Just high energy. Why I don't know, synth music kind of goes with metal. Um, just good grooves and high energy.
Hell yeah. So for those in the chat, that's because we do it. This is a new music or underrated artist type of show where we try and get out the bands not everybody has heard of and that need all the ears that they can. So for those in the chat that are just listening to your music today, can you take us back? Because I read that you guys have known each other for quite a long time and have been working together for a while. Can you take us back to the beginnings of Dance with the Dead and how that project kind of started and why you kind of mentioned it, Tony, as far as loving all those things, but what really about all these different genres appeal to you guys and why you started going in that direction?
Well, to take it back, I have known Justin since I was probably freshman in high school. He was a few years older than me.
Wow, yeah.
We did not
So,
go to the same high school though. Kind of
so we grew up in
yeah.
the same city, Irvine, Southern California. We've always been in two different bands, but until I'd say 2012 is when we started kind of exchanging music. I got heavily really into like EDM music, like Kavinsky, Daft Punk, Dead Mouse. So I was sending him some ideas. One of the song title was "Dance with the Dead," and he's like, "The song sucks, but I like the name. Let's start a band." So we just kind of started writing just for fun. Never thought that this would ever be a thing or a profession. But we also did love a lot of old metal from early '80s and '90s, and obviously all the '70s and '80s horror flicks, all the cheese horror movies. So we just
Before,
kind of combined
yeah.
everything that we loved, like dance music, like Daft Punk, hair metal, and horror, and just kind of just went with it.
And then we hit the Zoom silence.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
just waiting. I just didn't want to step over anybody. We got two people to worry about now instead of just the one
They're
corner.
like, cool story, bro.
Yeah.
No, we just have a really nasty habit of like interrupting each other and interrupting the guests.
Cora, I wanted you to pop in with a question.
Oh yeah,
I see-
definitely.
yeah.
So this one's, probably for anybody who's been following you for a while, you guys have a lot of horror movie imagery and horror tropes worked into your music. So what are your favorite horror movies and where do you like to pull the most inspiration from? Is it like your slasher flicks, zombie flicks, all of them?
Well, my favorite film of all time is The Exorcist because when I first watched that as a kid, I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. Like, it just, the special effects, even the story was just so above the game of everything else at the time. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, when Justin and I were writing our earlier records, he would just pop on a movie, put it on mute, and we just stare at the TV screen and just kind of just start writing to watching whatever he had on, whether it was Evil Dead or any Carpenter movies like Christine or Halloween. But yeah, we did that a lot back in the day, if I remember correctly. Right, Justin? We played a lot of like old horror movies while we're writing.
Just kind of help the vibe of writing.
Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm.
What are your favorite movies, Justin?
Well, I like anything 80s, 70s, pre-CGI. I'm not a fan of CGI movies nowadays. Some modern horror movies are pretty good. But I'd rather see like the 7-foot guy in a monster suit versus like just all digital monsters and stuff. And some of my favorites like Near Dark, Christine, Lost Boys, movies like that, just classics.
Yeah, so big fan of the 1984 The Thing, talked about practical effects.
Absolutely, yeah.
I thought that one was more terrifying than the remake just because of the effects. They're just so unsettling.
Yeah.
I think that was kind of ahead of its time, the way...
Very much.
I want to say Rick Baker did the effects, I'm not sure, but the way Carpenter and his effects team like kind of pioneered that movie.
It's so good. Has spawned a lot of knockoffs as well, including an X-Files episode that was it was just The Thing. That's what it was, like 6 years later.
Oh, I think I remember that.
Yeah, it was literally just the plot of The Thing.
Yeah.
I have never seen a single X-Files episode.
Really?
Yeah, and I know everyone tells me it's a great show, but I just never got around to watching it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll proselytize for it is one of my favorite shows of all time, but it is also, like, you can tell that it was made 30 years ago now, but I still think seasons 2 through about 6 hold up really, really well, and are some fantastic television if you've ever got the time, when you guys are, like, on tour and need, like, your Netflix or whatever it might be. So, speaking of that, I want to move to the new album, Driven to Madness, that came out on January 10th. You guys kind of touched on it a little bit, but so you have a couple of albums under your belt now and are used to at least the grind of the album cycle and everything like that. So kind of going off Corey's question, was there anything in this cycle that inspired you, or you were listening to or watching or reading or looking at, that inspired the sounds that we hear on Driven to Madness that may not have been present on any previous albums?
Yeah, I mean, we did have a lot of time off, so we did a lot of
pandemic. Yeah. We worked.
A lot of listening to other bands and new music, but I recently. I always get made fun of for this, but I got really heavily into the band Sabaton.
I will not give you any shit whatsoever for that. They're fantastic.
Yeah, so they just became like one of my top. I was like, man, like how have I not like been listening to this band? So I got the record Great War, and that just inspired me a lot for this record. I think especially Sledge, there's a lot of influences that I got from Sabaton.
Wow.
Yeah, every time I bring that up, everyone's like, "Oh, dude, you like Sabaton?" I'm like,
yeah, but like, think about it. Like, what are the two common elements between your band and their band? Are just like the massive hooks, and you want to keep everybody engaged and just have that, yelling in a field, dancing power that you guys could do so well. Like, and so it makes sense to me that you would see them and be like, "Wow, they've got immense choruses and huge songs. I want to use that."
Yeah. That's the first thing that when I heard their album, I was like, wow. Like they had like groovy drum beats, super big choruses, and I was just blown away.
Oh yeah, Justin, what about you?
Nothing really different for me as far as like writing other previous stuff. It just kind of it all starts with a riff. We go through hundreds and hundreds of riffs that slowly become skeletons, that slowly become songs, and stuff like that. So Tony and I live in different states, so we really just do email back and forth when it comes to writing.
Yeah,
I'm up Washington, lower Washington, like Portland area. He's down in Orange County, California.
Oh, you and Corey can like wave.
Yeah, you're like an hour away from me then.
Yeah, Vancouver, Washington. That's basically where I live.
Salem, Oregon.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
You guys haven't hit down there.
So on that, actually, so I realize that this question is almost akin to asking a baseball player, like, hey, how do you hit home runs, right? Like, you can't really describe it. But as someone who listens to music and enjoys it, I'm very curious. One of the things I've noticed a lot is, giving Driven to Madness a lot of spins and listening back to your older stuff is that the duality of the synth and the guitar is really, really well balanced. Like the guitar has its moments and then it'll go away. The synth comes out and has its moments and stuff like that. Over time and over the experience of writing music, how have you, I guess, personally found that balance of like when each one needs to shine, and how does that work when you guys are going through these songs?
Well, for the earlier records, it was more synths than guitars for sure. And as we started touring and just kind of seeing the reaction, like when we tour, we add in a lot of things that weren't on the record, like a lot of guitars, because it's obviously being played live. So after touring for a couple years, we learned the more guitars blended in with the synthesizers and stuff, like it just meshed more well for us and for the fans because they're hearing two things up in front. So we did our EP Blackout, which was before Driven to Madness. That was probably like the more guitar-oriented direction we were heading. And then Driven to Madness, we just pretty much made it equal 50-50, just heavy guitars, huge synths, huge drums, and probably going to continue just kind of going that path.
Well, we don't have vocals in our music, so it kind of helps easily bring in more melodies. And it's like, how does a song tell a story with no vocals? And I think we do it pretty well. We kind of add in melodies and layer stuff, and it's kind of easier to fit more things in there.
Yeah, and I was, as browsing as I do, I heard, or at least when I was browsing through different wikis and like YouTube pages and stuff like that, storytelling was an aspect that came up a lot in commenters and just people, fans of your music coming through. So I do think that shines through with the people that are listening to the music.
Yeah, because again, like we love electronic music as well. A lot of the times, those songs don't have a vocalist. It's just a song kind of telling a story. So we heavily take influence from something like that, along with, a lot of metal and old like 70s, 80s like synth music too. So we just try to combine whatever we kind of feel works. There's never any rules when we do our songwriting. It's just whatever sounds best.
Oh yeah, Corey, I'm going to let you jump in.
Oh, well, I was just going to build off a little bit of something that you said earlier. So there's a very like cinematic quality to your music. And I mean, I was saying it in the green room before we weren't live that it like makes me want to punch dance like out in Footloose, that the last song that we were just playing. It just inspires a lot of imagery inside of people's minds. And do you think that that's mainly driven by the fact that you have movies playing while you're writing, or is there more of a conscious, weaving into creating that cinematic quality? Because I think personally it goes beyond just telling a story and you're creating the actual images inside of somebody's head.
We both love movie scores, soundtracks. Like we're really heavily into that. But yeah, on that note, like you can tell a whole story like by stirring emotion with just music. You don't really always need vocals and stuff. But yeah, I would think so. We've kind of like ghost written soundtracks to like already made movies and stuff, just kind of to help
that checks out.
Yeah. So
yeah, I think the main thing is we just want to make sure every song has, the energy that we're feeling as we're writing it, where, like you said, it just makes you want to get up and whether dance or, get in the mosh pit or whatever it is. A few years ago, someone did an article about us, and it was actually really cool what he said. He said, if you go to a Dance with the Dead show, it's the only show you'll go to where you'll see goth kids, EDM kids, metalheads, and like just video game dudes all in the same room, like dancing or moshing.
True,
yeah. And
dancing
by that same note, dancing or dance moshing.
Yeah.
Doshing?
Sure, yeah.
I don't know.
Doshing sounds very close to douching.
Like,
I don't know.
Yeah.
And other side, like people just dancing. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. And by that same note, like, what is the craziest thing you've seen at one of your shows?
It was probably when we played in Moscow, Russia. I think it was 2018, and that was probably one of the biggest shows we've played. We didn't know what to expect, obviously, but when we got there, like the people chanting, it was so loud we couldn't hear the music. So like actually kind of freaked us out for a little bit. That was crazy. And then we played in Boise, Idaho. Once. And
the fire
caught on fire.
What?
That's up underneath that.
So
like
Justin kept
guys
pointing
on
at me like
stage?
fire, and I couldn't really hear him because we were playing live, and I was like, "What?"
The venue's
like,
subwoofer.
Fire and sub underneath the stage caught on fire. So my dumbass, rather than grabbing my gear, I grabbed my tall boy, and then walked off the stage.
I thought you were like,
"Oh shit, my gear's up there."
Yeah.
You are easily my spirit animal, because at one point in time, a couple of years ago, my barbecue caught on fire. And rather than going and grabbing like a hose or something, I my dumbass grabs the tongs to go save the meat off of the barbecue. So like, you are my spirit animal with that. I understand the mental process.
But yeah, that was pretty scary. And I don't think they had like the proper like fire code like exit. So like when we got off stage, there was a door, but it was like locked.
Their
So-
fire exit box. Yeah, big no.
Yeah. But you know, we got to play like halfway through, and then that was it. I mean, we just got to hang out with the fans and just hang out. But yeah, that was pretty scary for a sec.
I don't know
Right.
what they have in fire extinguishers, like what the chemical is, but I learned that day that stuff tastes like shit. Like, because it was all over the venue. Like, after they sprayed them, it was like getting in everyone's like face and mouth.
Yeah.
That shit was awful.
Yeah, I think it's just like CO2, like solidified CO2.
Yeah, whatever it was awful.
Whatever it was, it tastes like shit. Noted. We are learning so many things today, Corey. We're learning where the origin of mosh came from. We're learning that fire extinguishers do not taste very good. But now you guys get to say that you literally set the stage on fire.
Yeah, and then the funny thing is, so after that show, then we played in Portland, and the room upstairs, that show, something happened on the stage where another fire happened on that stage, like the very next day. So people just kept commenting like, "Oh, you guys are bringing the fire. You guys are bringing the fire."
Yeah.
But 2 days in a row.
Are you guys worried that there is some like horror movie that's coming true that you guys are conjuring like devils or demons through your music and now they're out to get you?
That'd be pretty sick.
I mean, that'd be fucking bad.
Yeah.
Or just one of you is unknowingly pyrokinetic, you know, since we've been talking about, you know, Firestarter, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Movies. Yeah. See? Yeah. Get Drew Barrymore in the band.
She's available, right?
She could do stuff.
Speaking of badass, one thing I did want to ask real quick, just because this is something that I just love myself. So the artwork, I'm curious at like how this one came together for this one, because like you guys have always had great artwork. But like this one, like I'm going back to like when I was like 15 browsing Tower record shelves and stuff like that. This one would jump out of the page with the color scheme and what it looks like and the storytelling aspect. Like how do you usually figure out artwork for your albums, and how was this one different or not?
I just pitched the idea to our artist, whose name is Mark Skoenbach, by the way.
Cool.
He runs Sadist Art Designs, and all of his stuff is amazing. He does a lot of, I want to say like DVD covers for like horror genre, and horror is kind of like a specialty. But thought I'd give him a shout out. But I just pitched him the idea. I'm like, it'd be kind of cool, like some kind of like dead taxi driver, and like some girls like being trapped in the back seat or something. He sent us the first draft of the picture, and we were just floored. We're like, that's it. That's our album cover.
So then, based off what he sent, that's where Driven to Madness, that's where the title came, because it just kind of fit perfect with the cover.
Yeah.
I think we were going to call the record Season of Madness. And then a buddy of ours was like, no, dude, you got to call it Driven to Madness. It goes with the...
Yeah.
It goes with
We'll just say who it was. It was our homeboy, Nick Hippa.
Yeah, Nick Hippa. Dude, you guys got to call it Driven to Madness.
Shout out to Nick. Meyer's been coming out with a lot of stuff recently and guested on your last album as well. Yeah, no, I thought it was stark. We talk about album art a lot, and the contrast of the pink name with the like foggy, spooky blue and white background just like immediately jumps off the page. So I'm glad that you gave Mark a shout out, because I always love delving into the specifics of album art and the artists that do it, because one of the most important aspects of metal or like any type of thing, but sometimes the artists don't get their recognition as widely seen as some of their stuff is.
Yeah, for sure. The dude, so talented.
Corey, do you have anything else?
I do. So, I mean, I think we skipped this question a little bit since we are now talking about the album and it came out last week. How do you feel to have it out there in the wild and people are out there enjoying it, punch dancing out their rage to it, you know?
It feels great. It's a relief because it's been done for a while. So, like, for us, it feels like it's been out for, 6-7 months. But yeah, we're more so just ready to go out and play these songs live for our upcoming tour in March. So fingers crossed that nothing more happens, obviously, and hopefully everything goes smooth.
Yeah, we haven't played a show in 2 years at this point, which most of the industry and the bands probably haven't either. But yeah, it's definitely.
We got back from Norway, which was our European tour, but that was our last stop. From Oslo back to America on March 1st, and then literally 2 weeks later, everything shut down. We're like, wow. Like,
I don't know about you guys, but I feel like the last 2 years, 18 months has gone by like 6 months. It's weird. It's
so weird. Yes and no. Like it both feels like it was like, I swear, like I can remember like almost what I was having like at that exact time period. Again, it feels like yesterday, but even though we're 2 years through, it's like, wait a second, no, this also feels like it's been going on for fucking ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like it was over a year and a half for me before I went to a show, and like most of them I'm not able to go to anymore because of how things are going. And yeah, just time doesn't, we say it all the time on the show, just time doesn't exist anymore given how weird things are. It both feels like yesterday and 1,000 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm catching the Volbeat Ghost show in Portland in a week or so, and that's the first show I'm actually going to attend since I think 2019.
Get there early. Twin Temple is so good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to them too. Yeah.
That's gonna be a hell of a show. Yeah, I went. I was able to get back out in like end of September, beginning of October, and then I had a bunch of shows in December that I didn't go to because like we didn't know what the hell was going on at that point. So it's wild. And I'm correct in saying that your tour starts in Denver, correct, on March 23rd?
Yes,
correct.
March 23rd.
Hell yeah. Everybody go check them out. Go get tickets if you feel comfortable going to see shows, because I can guarantee you that this is going to be a hell of a time. Corey, did you want to wrap up with the last question?
The super awesome last question?
The super awesome last question.
Okay. What is your favorite dinosaur?
T-Rex.
We got a second T-Rex today. It's a classic choice.
Not too many people probably say this, but probably a Brontosaurus, just because they're like big and elephanty, and I love elephants. I don't know. I like the big, slow guys. I don't really like the I don't know.
The fast, ferocious ones.
The murderers.
The murder dinosaurs.
We did get Brontosaurus quite a bit, actually.
Technicolor Brontosaurus.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
Great. Well, we're running up on. We've got about 10 minutes left. Where did the time go, Corey? I think it went all to technical difficulties, and then
technical difficulties and super awesome songs. A mix of both.
And good conversation as well. Y'all, congrats on the album. Now that people are out there picking it up, what is one thing, if any, that you want people to take away from their music when they give Driven to Madness a spin?
I just hope it makes people feel good. At the end of the day, it's just music, you know? It's like, if it sets a mood or a tone with anyone and they just kind of enjoy listening to it, that's all that matters to me, you know? That they get a good ride out of it.
Fuck yeah. Well, I can speak for both Corey and I in saying that we've been having a shit ton of fun researching the record and all that other stuff the past couple of days. It is a hell of a listen. Everybody go check it out right now. Driven to Madness by Dance with the Dead, and go see them on tour in March and April throughout these United States. Naz, if you've got a link for us to tickets or to the record, please pop that in the chat for our friends in Dance with the Dead. Justin, Tony, it has been so good chatting with you today. Thanks for coming on and taking the time out.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Good luck on the tour. Be safe. Hopefully we'll see you around the bend one of these days. And just congratulations on the record, and have a good rest of the week, y'all.
Very cool.
Thank you, guys.